design.
Oh. Sorry, we're recording.
So those are some of the designs we'll do in the book too. Anyways, going back, this is our baking kitchen where they cut all the cookies. And then I'll give you a run to the decorating room. We ship cookies all over the world. So this is our shipping room. And then this is the best room, the decorating room. With all of our decorators at work. We've got our icing wall. It's everyone's favorite. And the sprinkle wall. We've got every sprinkle you could ever imagine. And these are all the cookies we're doing today. We do like 5,000 cookies a day. And then we've got cakes too. That's pretty good. But we're not doing cakes in the book. All right. So I figured I'll just show you guys a few of the designs. That way you can kind of get a good feel for it. So what's cool about the book is that I give 2 different icing recipes. Most people only work with royal icing, and we work with royal and glaze. And up until now, all of our followers have been begging for the recipe, and I haven't given it. So I'm pretty excited. I think they're going to be really excited because the glaze icing is kind of unusual. It tastes way better, and most people don't know how to use it. So, all right. So there's kind of 3 general rules to every cookie. There's like 3 different steps. There's the outline, which is this. And then you fill it in, and then you do the top details. So that will be the first step to every cookie. So first, I'm going to start. You'll take your white royal icing. Anyways, the outline kind of just acts as like a dam to hold in the thinner icing that will cover the whole cookie. So for the snow cone, you start with the bottom, and then you trace the whole top edge in white. So if you're reading the book, you have to wait and let that dry before you flood, because it will be easier to hold the icing in. So when you start flooding, that's where the glaze comes in. So the glaze is always in these bottles, and we'll start with the snow cone part because it's going to get sprinkles. So you start at the bottom, go up, and we're just going to work in rainbow order. But what's cool is, like, in the book, we have an option where you can do red, white, and blue for 4th of July. I think we even have like a Halloween snow cone you can do it all orange and put a little jack-o'-lantern on it. Anyways, flooding videos are everybody's favorite on Instagram because they're so soothing. So you just kind of want to make the arch so that it kind of looks like a dome. That's that. So that looks cool as it is, but if you really want the snow cone texture, we just put the sugar crystals, which is just sugar sprinkles. You'll take your whole cookie and you dip it in there. And in the book, we tell you where to find all of these. Isn't that awesome? This is one of my favorites. So from there, you just fill in the bottom part. And from that, you kind of let that dry because you want your top deco to stand out on the top. And there's different techniques. Sometimes it's called wet on wet. If you want the design to lay flat, we could have done polka dots on here and it would have sunk straight into the ice or the snow cone. So I'm just going to do like a quick line at the top. And then I usually go back and do like some stripes. Maybe pipe a few stars. And call it just like that. I think anybody who reads the book will definitely be able to do this one. At the very least, I think a kid could do this one. So that's a good one. All right. So after the snow cone, I feel like you're ready to move on to a little bit harder cookie. We'll do the Nutcracker. This one is like, I don't know why he is so popular. Sorry. But at Christmas, he's one of our store favorites. Everybody loves him. And you can change up the skin color or the uniform color. It's really kind of fun. So this is where it's more intricate. And in the book, we give you step by step. So it makes it easy, but it looks really hard, which is what you want, I think. Makes it impressive. So you start by making a square. That's going to be his face. You just want to make sure all the edges are connected. If it's not totally right, you can always go back, add an extra line, because you're going to flood that over anyway. We did him light pink. So I'll just do his hat. And then his shoulders. All the way across. Back down. And then 3 curls for his hair. So you're probably catching on now that after you outline, you let that dry, but we're fast, so we're then you flood it. So we'll start with his face. So we'll just fill him all the way in. I like to start at the edge and go in. And that's why glaze is so great. And people are going to really like it. It smooths itself out. Whereas if people flood with that thick royal icing that we outline with, you have to smooth it yourself. And I don't know. I think that's more complicated. So you can either let all of these sections dry individually, or you can just flood them all together, which is what I like to do because you're going to go back anyways and re-outline them. So you can always use a toothpick, which is one of my favorite tools in the book because it's easy to just get the icing into the corners.
So Hayley, I got a quick question for you if you got a chance.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to dry was one question.
The glaze icing so if you're just waiting to decorate it, you could top deco it in about maybe an hour, 2 hours. It'll be like dry to the touch, but you wouldn't want to ship it, or like if you want it this hard, like poking hard, it takes about 12 hours. So that's that. But like something thin like this, like the outline, it will usually set up in about 30 minutes to an hour. And then you're good to flood it. It's the glaze icing that takes longer to dry. The royal icing dries faster. So one of the tools I talk about in the book is these food pens. They're so easy and they make your life a lot easier to work with. Cookies. So I usually start by drawing a square for his mouth. And then let's see, actually, that was wrong. I do sprinkles on his hat. So you always want to do sprinkles that you're going to dip first so that it doesn't get on anything else that's wet on the cookie. So I do a zigzag and another little zigzag up here. And then our favorite sugar crystals, we just dip it again. See? All right, so now we'll do his eyes. And I have a whole section in the book of how to do eyes because almost everything we put a face on here because it's cuter, I think. But you can put a face on anything. And so you just start with the white, then the black, and then you always do 2 little dots. Kind of makes them look a little bit less hollow. So then we'll do eyebrows. For a mustache, you just squeeze harder and then slowly stop squeezing and pull it to a point. Harder
and let up. So then I do his little bottom lip, just a little line, and then a teardrop shape for a nose. So you ball up, and then you stop squeezing and pull up. And you do a little, what's that, a goatee, a beard? All right, so then anytime you're doing gold in the book, you'll just base coat it or use the icing ivory, because when you go back and paint it later, that shows the least underneath when you're painting. And that's kind of a good thing we haven't revealed yet on our Instagram, is how we paint our gold. And I think everybody will be excited about that because it's really shiny and metallic. And so a lot of home bakers may not know about that yet. It's just a cool extra detail that a lot of people don't have. All of these little details are kind of like extra, and that's what makes it fun. You can make it your own. There you go. And then you just paint gold on it. Get this guy. That's the Nutcracker. Snow cone. All right, so you've definitely seen all of the little basic steps, but this one is really cool. So it's a stencil, and we talk about how to use this in the book, and you can see, like, check out how detailed that is. There's no way you could paint, pipe all of that detail. You would never want to pipe that many hearts. Plus the rainbow effect is really cool. So this guy I usually do for Dia de los Muertos or Halloween in the case, and all of our customers really love him. So one of the cool options in the book is we even say you can do it in black background or you can do it with a white background. And honestly, you can change it however you want, which I think I overwrote in the book and said multiple times, the sky is truly the limit. You can do, we just give you the starting point, and then you can be creative and make them however you want, whatever colors, follow it as little or as much as you want. So we are going to go with the black background. And again, you just start by outlining it as close to the edge of the cookie as you can. You want it smooth. So then you're going to flood it. And I would talk about, like, some bottles we put these metal tips on and some we don't. If you're flooding a really big area, it's better not to have a tip on it because it just takes less time. You can put the tip close to the cookie and just lightly squeeze the bottle until it's all filled in. One of the things when you're flooding, if you ever get an air bubble or something isn't smoothing out possibly, you can just use a toothpick and kind of get it perfect. There you go. So this one is so easy and it looks so hard, but it's not. Okay, so this is going to be satisfying. You're going to like it. So you'll get a piece of saran wrap and you just you'll start making a little color palette. So since we're going to do rainbow, we'll do pink first. Then you just lay the next color right next to it on the saran wrap. And I'm taking the tips off, but there you go. And we show you how to put the icing into all of these bags. What's cool about stencils is, like, we have this heart one, but they come, you can buy literally hundreds of thousands of stencils on cookie supply shops, and we list those in the book. We'll tell you where to get them all. There's ladies who have entire businesses that are nothing but cookie stencils. All right, so that's the color palette. And then what you need, is the stencil, which is this guy. And it's just a clear, some people even make these on their Cricut machine at home. Then you need something to scrape with. You can use a spatula, but these usually come with the stencil when you order them online. So that's what we like. So you'll lay the stencil over the cookie like that. And usually you just want one place to kind of hold it by. And then you'll come over here and you'll take your scraper, is what we call it, and you'll just insert it down, pull it away. So now you're loaded up. So for this one, we scraped it horizontally, but you could scrape it any way you want. You just push down, spread it across. Careful not to move it, but you can scrape it as many times as you need. Obviously, the more you scrape it, the more blended it's going to start to look. But you want it pretty thin, so you can still see the stencil. And then this is the cool part. You just peel it back. So you can do it in solid colors or rainbow. And that's that. And that's it with it's in white, anything. So yeah, that's one of the cool ones. But you don't even have to wash the stencil in between. You can just keep on using it, keep reloading your icing, and then come back, scrape it. Now, the other way to use stencils is with an airbrush machine, which we talk about in the book too. Like you could airbrush all these colors. But if you don't have an airbrush, I like this because you don't need a big piece of equipment. And anytime a stencil does something like this, you just get your toothpick and kind of clean it off. So that's those guys. All right. Well, I think that just leaves us with the writing. And what's cool about that, so in the book, we're going to have like a practice page with the whole alphabet written out. And you can take a piece of parchment paper. You can take the book, which we'll pretend this is the book. And it would have the alphabet or like these practice templates in there. And all you do is you take your parchment, which is see-through. You'll lay it over. And then you just tape it down because you don't want it to move on you. You just put like a piece of tape in the corner. And then you can practice. And that's what I think most people want to do so that they can get good at writing. That's kind of what we're known for, is how we write funny jokes or anything on a cookie. So for writing, I always like to hold the bag with my right hand because I'm right-handed. And then I use my left hand to steady the bag at the tip. So you'll just start squeezing. And then anytime I'm going down, I usually do it thicker. So I'm squeezing harder and moving slower. Hard and slow. And you can just practice. Like that. And that makes it look easier than it is, but it's, you practice enough, it'll be just like that in no time. So then you can just, the book stays intact and the page is fine, and you can just move this and keep practicing on the next. So that's what's cool. Let's see. Now that we've practiced, we can put that on an actual cookie. One of the things that I like too is this is called a Pico projector, and I talk about in the book. If they want to invest in a projector and not have to trace or freehand write, what they can do is buy this, and you just hook your phone up to it. So they could take a picture of the writing in the book and project it down onto the cookie. But again, if you're a beginner, you probably don't want to invest in that just yet. And that just gives you a starting place. But as they advance, that's what's cool. If they're not a beginner, it's perfect for them because they're going to get to see all the cool technology that we use and really get them professional looking cookies. So this guy is definitely for an advanced person, but there's a pattern and I think you're going to like it. So this is a Valentine's one, and it's just going to say love ya. It actually says love you, like we practiced. So I'm just writing in the middle. And then one part of the book, we talk about all of the little details you can add. So you could add flowers or scroll work or swirls or polka dots, literally anything, sprinkles. But here I'm going to show you scroll work because it's the most impressive, I think. And if you wanted to learn something new, this would be it. So there's a pattern to the scroll work. You do 2 teardrops that make a V. Then you do a curly Q ending in, curly Q ending in, and then 2 more teardrops and 1 in the middle. So if you can do that, that will also be a practice template. You can practice that over and over off the side and then translate it onto the cookie. Well, then you just want to start finding little V's in your design. So here's another V, here's a V, V, V. And that's where you'll just start twisting this design. Teardrop, swirls, teardrops, and 1. Probably made 8,000 of these this year. So that's why I'm going so fast. But it's really therapeutic. I think if you were doing this at home, this would be one of your favorite ones to just spend some time on, especially if you were only making a few. And that's what I think the book is cool, because if you just wanted to make one of these and 1 skull and 1 of everything, you really can, because you just cut out as many as you want to decorate. So I'm just finding some more holes, but if you notice, the shape is still staying the same. And sometimes I just fill in with random teardrops, like towards the corners. That's it. I think everybody will be able to get it if you practice a little bit. So anyways, that's kind of a quick look into what we've got going on. That's it.
Wow, that is amazing. So I hope they taste as good as they look. I'm sure you can back us up on that. So a lot of people were saying in the chat that they can't even write straight with a pen. So how do you expect them to write straight with a tube? So I'm sure it's just practice, right?
It is, and in fact, we always laugh because my handwriting does not look like that on paper. In fact, I'm definitely better with a pie bag, but it's kind of a different feel. You just have to practice.
Right. And another question was, does your room or your bakery, wherever you're making these cookies and writing on them, does it need to be a specific temperature? I mean,
No,
could
it
you
really
do it
doesn't.
outside and, not get your kitchen messy? Could you do it outside if you had to?
Yeah, you could. I think the biggest thing is that when it gets really humid, sometimes it takes longer for the icing to dry. But other than that, I mean, I grew up in Houston and that's where I started cookies, and it's super humid there and they always turn out fine. That's what's cool. It doesn't really matter what the weather's doing. They'll turn out.
Perfect. And then the stencils, I'm sure everyone is interested in getting, some stencils to try that. And I know you list them in your book, but could you give us kind of a sneak peek of, what kind of the basic templates we could go to find, some of those things?
To find the stencils?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like a couple different stores. There's a lady called the Cookie Countess. She has so many. We have this one in the book, and it's Abraham Lincoln's face that we actually designed for her, and she sells it on her website. So there's like the matching cookie cutter and the stencil, and you just scrape Abe Lincoln's face, and then we usually go back and pipe like little sunglasses on him for 4th of July or a bandana. We write Abe drinking and get in trouble for that. So there's tons of characters, and like if you want stars in the background or polka dots, you can stencil polka dots so you're not individually placing them. It's a really fast way to decorate.
Oh, great. And a question came across the chat too. It was one of the questions I had is what, your most popular cookie or the most requested cookie that you have?
I'm trying to think. I mean, our Texas cookies are really big, but that's a Texas thing. But other than that, anything with writing on it is our most requested. They want anything funny. Trying to think what else. Flowers or anything with sprinkles. Our You're Freaking Awesome cookie is what we're kind of known for. It just says it's just a round with sprinkles that says You're Freaking Awesome. So that probably sells the fastest in the case.
Awesome. And then, so I've been asking this question to some other people too, but, I know you have 2 storefront locations and, in Austin, Texas, that you were able, to keep alive during the pandemic. So I'm sure people were desperate for your cookies. So were you able to, get orders to them online and some curbside pickup things?
Yeah, we really, my husband, my whole family works here, right? But my husband was obsessing. He was really panicking right when the pandemic hit. And so he got this old cell phone and we started taking delivery orders by having people text us what they wanted. And we were just driving all over town. I think we did 200 deliveries in a day, and we would stay here, decorate the cookies, and then go drive around till 2 in the morning delivering. So that was how we kept Austin going. But we've been shipping cookies for 8 years, 9 years now. So we just kept doing that. And it was really awesome how supportive everybody was. If I posted Joe Exotic cookies, that was the one pandemic set. I think we made that. The Joe Exotic set kept us in business for the entire month of May last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Amazing. And we know that you love sprinkles. So do you think, and this will be the final question, but do you think there's a sprinkle book in your future?
That would be fun, especially if it was like an I Spy or something. That's what we were thinking. Some kind of sprinkle mix book or like a coffee table sprinkle book.
That sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much, Hayley. And thank you to all that attended. Again, you can get her cookies at her site, right? Check out her Instagram handle, which I see some of you have, the Hayley Cakes, and look out for her book. It's called Sweet Talk Cookies, if I could talk, is coming out in November. So you should be able to pre-order it very soon. But thank you all for attending, and thank you, Hayley.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.